Good morning, everybody. Sorry, have the. Oh, there's an echo. Echo. Hold on. This is why I put my ears in, to make sure that I know when there's a problem. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment. As always, if you're not watching this live, you can skip ahead. There's a link down below to the beginning of the show. Yesterday, I did something different. I actually posted a edited version of the show to get it down to under 10 minutes, just to see if there's any difference in viewership. I might do a few of those, compare them, see what happens. I don't know if it's worthwhile or not, but if you're watching this, then you probably aren't watching. Let me know if you think this is a good idea. Let's just leave it at that. How's everybody doing this morning? I see lots of people in the comments in the chat room already, which is wonderful. Let me get my little counter up here so I can see what is actually happening today. And let's see what is going on so far this morning. We had someone in here, Faked Cube, quite early. Always love to see those early risers in here. Gareth says, finally can watch a live one. Got nothing to do while waiting for an After Effects to render. Well, that's what happens. The After Effects is slow. No, it is kind of slow, isn't it? I don't know why After Effects takes so long. You'd think that they'd be a little faster these days. Fake Cube also just got a package delivery, but sadly not a GH5. Sorry to hear that. Gareth says that he's seeing a lot of people moaning about grain when zooming into 400%. I challenge anyone to zoom in that far and not see grain. And I agree. And I agree that this is one of those weird things where people are like, they go crazy and they go, look, there's grain. They go, well, yes, you're at 400%. If you're zooming in that far in post-production, you should have got closer or chosen a different lens. I don't know, people just like to complain. That's my theory. And let's see, Martin says, been chasing your GH5 again today, now pushed back to April 7th. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Martin. Hopefully it'll get to you soon. Hopefully it will. Ramblex says, I made a GUI for FFmpeg to cut and merge 4K at 200 FPS. 200. Oh, cool. That's kind of fun. Right on. Share. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Under 15 minutes is a good idea for an edited version, Marvin is saying. The reason I chose under 10 was because it seems that some of the most popular YouTube videos out there are generally under 10. That seems to be kind of a magic moment. I think people are looking at a video, looking at the thumbnail, they go, I want to watch that. And they go, oh my God, it's 20 minutes long? That's too long. Under 10 seems to be a bit of a magic threshold. I could be wrong, but that's just something I've seen. Now, I do, obviously there's a lot of enjoyment to the interaction part of it for those who want that, but sometimes you just want to get to the info quickly. So I don't know, we'll have to play with it a little bit. Fake Cube says, you like watching the full thing even before you started watching live. Never click the jump to official start of the show link either. Well, thank you. I've had people say thank you for putting that in, and that's an easy one to add in, so that only takes a few seconds. The editing obviously takes time, so that's why that's a big, I don't know, we'll see what's going to happen. Sully, your GH5 just arrived. Awesome. Very good to hear that. Look at that. They are arriving. Let's see here. Martin's gone off now. You've gone off, Sully. That's funny. Okay. Brent saying, can I do videos on updating lens firmware? Yeah, sure. I'll do one of those. I'll need a lens with an update. I don't know if I have any lenses that haven't been updated yet. I did do a blog post on it, though. In fact, let me just pull that up for you. So in case, and we'll put this in the show notes as well, but let me find this really quick. It's on my PhotoJoseph website. Let's just switch over to that momentarily. Let's get this up on screen first and then switch to that. So if you go to my site, photojoseph.com, and go search, and I think if you just search firmware, that should find it. Yeah, top article, update your, this is specifically to the GX85 for firmware update there, and it's for an in-body firmware update, but it's the same instructions if you're doing lens or body. It's all basically the same. And so I've got a little story, a little explanation there of how to do it. The Panasonic website that tells you how to do it, it's like 6 pages long and has a lot of, not extra steps, but it's kind of step 1, insert memory card, step 2, format, step 3, push button. It's a little too detailed. And then it goes, anyway, you look at this one, it gives you the idea, it tells you how to do it a lot more quickly, a lot more succinctly, a bit easier, I do believe. John Moby is saying, we find that with the 360 VR stuff that we do, more than 10 minutes and users zone out and switch off. Yeah, see, 10 minutes does seem to be a magic button. Magic timing. And again, thank you for that. Reminds me for you guys, when you're chatting here, if you want to catch my attention, once the show starts especially, I will not be able to follow all the live chat. Just do an @. If you're in Chrome, I think a little sketchy in Safari, but if you're in Chrome, @, start typing PhotoJoseph. it'll highlight my name, and then I will see that highlighted here. Or, of course, if you want to help support the show, there is a little $ sign down there. You hit that. That's called the Super Chat. It's YouTube's way of letting you contribute, and that will allow you to not only get your question big and bold on my screen, but throw a little bit of moolah into the show to help keep us on the air. Little fun stuff there like that. Okay. Let's see. Jorge is saying, by the way, variable ND filters. Do you recommend any for the 12 to 60? Still waiting for your kit. Bodies are being delivered, by the way. Oh, okay, interesting. So body only are being delivered. Kits are not. Mine came as 2 separate pieces, so that might have something to do with it. Well, of course, I'm in the US, so we wouldn't get a kit anyway. Anyways, to answer your question, variable NDs. I don't. What is the filter size on this? Is it even the same? I think it's the same as my other. I think so. 62? I think that's what I have. I have a variable ND. It's good. It's definitely not a cheap one. I don't remember who makes it though. But it's not fantastic. And I say that because when I get into the darkest settings, probably the last stop is unusable. You get weird banding in it. I don't have a brand name variable ND that I would recommend. I would just say Google that, because there are several people who have done very comprehensive tests, and when I bought mine it was based off of one of those, and I kind of went a step down from the most expensive because it was probably half the price and almost just as good, and I kind of wish I had gone that extra step. But you don't want to cheap out on a variable ND because it will put color casts on your picture, which is definitely not good. Sully, thank you very much for hitting that super chat button. I do appreciate that. All right, let's see here. The 1 to 400 has been updated. I don't have the 100 to 400, so can't do that one. Sorry. Martin's also saying your bodies are 90% of the UK orders at the moment. I was told today that supply delays are on the Leica lens. Interesting. Alrighty. Thank you, Sully, for showing off the show, starting off the show right. Okay, let's do this, shall we? Let's see. I'm gonna get my stats up here. Make sure everything's good. I can obviously hear you. You can hear me. Or I can't hear you because you're not talking, but I can see you. All right, let's do it. Let's get this. Let's get this thing started. Ooh, probably should record this. Probably a good idea. Record that back up. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the first live daily photo show on the YouTubes every weekday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Watch live if you can. It's lots of fun, as the people in the chat can attest to. So today we're talking about VFR mode on this camera, specifically how to get into it, because I've had 3, I think, different people email me or message me in the comments saying, how do I put the camera in VFR mode? And I thought, well, you just choose the one that says VFR. It's not hard to find. But then I realized why people are having issues with it. So I have, well, this is the brand new one that came yesterday, but I just did a reset. So this camera, this GH5, is totally out of the box, fresh right now, so that I can show you from the start how you do this. Sound good? Excellent. All right, so let's start by, well, okay, first things first. Look at the top of the camera here. You cannot get to VFR mode when you're in one of the shooting modes and just hitting the little red button to record video. You need to be into full video shooting mode, which is really hard to do when you're upside down. There we go. Full video shooting mode. So that's the creative M mode. Do this. See if I do this, then it's right side up for you guys. Voila, there we go. Get the glare off of it. There, so the video M mode. Honestly, I don't know what the M is for. It's not for manual, because you can do auto modes in there. It's called the creative video mode, which is a really kind of crappy name, because all the videos creative mode, right? I don't know. Anyway, that's the mode you have to be in. If you're not in that mode, you're not going to get it. So that's step 1. You got to be in that mode. Let's see. John is saying I've had 2 GH5. I've had 2x GH5s now that won't do VFR out of the box. Had to factory reset them, and then hey presto, VFR mode works. Well, John, maybe you're going to learn why today, hopefully, because I think they should do it straight out of the box, but you have to get the right settings. Okay, so step 1, got to be in that manual video, whatever it is, mode, creative mode. That's step 1. Okay, so now let's go look at the camera. We're looking through the camera here. Ooh, okay, hold on. Now I know why I had changed that preset the other day, and now I've reset it, so I'm gonna have to do that every time. Dang it. Okay, so in this mode, I go into the menu, and I go, right, I wanna do VFR. So I go to my record quality here, and I look through these, and I'm looking for one that says VFR, because you need to see VFR on this screen. And I don't see it. It's not on any of these. And now I'm going, okay, so this is probably what a lot of people are running into. There is no VFR. Because, let's back out of here, go up to this menu here. No, sorry, not that menu. Go to this menu here that says record format. And the default setting is MP4. And that is the problem. we got to get out of MP4. You can do this in MP4 LPCM or in the move mode. The MOV mode is what I always leave it in. There was some discussion about one mode's better for Windows, one's better for Macs. I don't think that's really accurate. I'm pretty sure that the .mov files can be read on anything. The MP4 with an LPCM audio is definitely better than straight MP4. So you want to get out of the MP4 mode. Why it's the default, I don't know, but it is. So you at least want the MP4 LPCM. The MOV is exactly the same, it's just a different wrapper. Try it on your system. If it matters, then obviously go with the one that works on your system. I don't honestly think that it does. I think it's one of those kind of legacy things, but just put it in .mov and you're good, okay? So we're in MOV, and select that mode. It says a high performance PC is required. Yes, it says I have a high performance PC. And now when I go back to record quality, now there's a lot more options. And you'll notice that some of them, like that one there, says at the bottom VFR available. So there's another one, VFR available, VFR available, VFR available, VFR available. So that's what you need. When you see that VFR available, now you know that you can do it. Okay, so let's go for the first one that is, which is going to be this one here, the 3840 by 2160. So that's UHD or 4K. And at 2997, and you see it says VFR available. Okay, so I push that, so now the camera's going to switch. Give it a moment. Boom, boom, switches modes, and we are back. Okay, so that is now set. So again, we're in 4K, 3840 by 2160, 2997 with VFR available. So now I back out of here. It's too far. I back out of here, and I go back into this mode, so the top creative movie mode, and this is why you need to be in the creative movie mode, because this menu that I'm on right now is not available if I'm in any of the shooting modes. If I switch the camera to a shooting mode, stills mode, and go back, you see that menu changes to the stills menu. I put the camera back in the movie mode, and boom, there it is. And you notice the second option here is variable frame rate, and that's what we're looking for. So variable frame rate is currently set to off. We can set it to on, but we don't know what it's set to yet. So normally what you'd do is you go in here and go to set, choose the speed that you want. So you can go high speed, 2 frames per second, or slow motion. In this case, 60 frames per second. That's going to be the max because we're shooting in 4K. So we choose that. It automatically sets it to on. And now we're ready to go. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave the camera in program mode. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Let's just underexpose this a little bit dark. And you can see it is focused. We got a nice little focusing. We're going to focus on the ball here. And what I'm going to do is do a very high-tech bouncing ball here. All right, you ready for this? So I'm going to start recording. It's recording, bounce, and stop. And now, did it stop? It stopped. Okay, it always takes longer to do things when I'm previewing on the big screen here. All right, let's hit the play button. And let's take a moment for it to come up on the outside screen. Don't worry about the black screen. That will go away very soon. There it is. And I hit play, and we are now going to see this playing back at our 50% speed. So it's only a little bit slower, right? Because it's only 50%. Okay, that's cool. But now let's do something more fun. Now I'm going to take this up to 180 frames per second, which is only available in 1080p. So remember, in 4K mode, you can get up to 60 frames per second, which is going to be half speed, 50% speed, unless you're conforming to 24 frames, and then it's like, I think it's 40% slow motion. I think that's the right math. We're going to do 1080p, which will let us go to 180 frames per second, which is a lot slower. Before I do that, let me just scroll back here, see what's flying by. Rumblex says that .mov requires QuickTime, which was not supported by Apple on Windows for years. Was not or is not? Because I think it is now, right? I hope it is now. Burns Tech is saying, I believe it has something to do with how MP4 files are closed when the video recording ends. Interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's kind of universal. But please clarify, Rumblelock, what you mean. You mean it is currently or was past tense not supported on Windows, the .mov files? Okay. So now we're going to switch this back over. I'm going to disable that audio again. And we're going to change this now. We're going to change the mode to one of the 1080p modes. So here we go. Let's go. So you notice you've got 1080p 5994, 1080p 2997, and 1080p 2398, all of which are VFR available. Okay, so what's the difference? Let's talk about this for a moment, because this is one of these questions that for people who are really not that familiar with video, variable frame rate, slow motion, and the magic word conform might be a little confused. So here's what happens in the camera when you shoot at one of these other frame rates. Let's pick an easy one. We're shooting at 60 FPS, but the camera's set to 30. Okay, so it's 2x, right? This is easy math. So the camera's set to 30. Forget about variable frame rate for a second. Just normal shooting, you're shooting 30 frames per second. That means that the camera is recording 30 frames per second, and you're playing back 30 frames per second. So 1 second of real life happens 1 second in the camera with 30 frames of that video. Straightforward. Now we set it to VFR mode and we set it to 60. So now it's recording 60 frames per second. But we're not playing back at 60, we're playing back at 30 frames. So over the course of 1 second, if this is a second and we've shot 30 frames, playing back at 30 frames, it's real time. But if we record 60 frames and then play it back at 30, well, the first 30 frames are going to take a full second to play, and the second 30 frames plays over the second second. So now it's a 2 second long clip. So it's half the speed or 50% slowed down, depending on how you want to look at it. So the camera records in real time more frames per second, but then in camera, it conforms back to 30, back to what your recording setting is set to. So in this case, in 1080p, you can choose between 60p, 30p, or 24p. Meaning that whatever you're shooting at, whether it's 90 or 120 frames or 180 frames per second, it's going to take those frames and conform them back to 60, 30, or 24. So if you shoot, let's do easy math. Let's say you set the camera to 120 frames VFR and you're shooting in 60p. So you want playback to be at 60p. That's the same as doing 30 to 60, right? It's double. So your 120 frames is going to play back over 2 seconds at 60p. If you drop that down to 30p, that same 120 frames is now going to play out over 4 seconds. And if you drop it down to 24p, it's like 5 seconds or whatever the math is. It's a little bit longer. So this gives you the choice to have that kind of slower or faster playback. Now, typically when you're shooting, you have a final frame rate that is what your destination is, right? I'm creating a project at 1080p 30. I'm outputting at 60p, I'm outputting at 24, whatever. You know what your final project is, so that's what you set your camera to. But if you make a mistake, that's fine, because the frames still exist. You can always drop it on your timeline in Final Cut or Premiere and retime it. In fact, Premiere has a better tool. I think it has a retime tool, which is a little bit easier to understand. In Final Cut, you would have to do a speed shift, and you'd have to do the math to make sure that you weren't adding or removing frames. Premiere's retime tool is really cool. And if there is a retime tool in Final Cut that I'm missing somebody, please tell me about that. Jeremy Erickson, look at you throwing out the money. Thank you very much. I'm sorry you paid for something that I can't answer, though. Thank you very much for the contribution. I really appreciate that, but I do not have any info on the alleged 8 to 18 millimeter. I can neither confirm nor deny anything about such thing. Sorry. I know it was announced at some point or discussed at some point, but other than that, radio silence. And so, sorry. My apologies. Hope you don't feel that was wasted money. But it's a good attempt to bribe me to give up info. I like that. I like the way you're thinking there. All right, Teo's saying, with the high FPS, how are you handling fluorescent indoor lights? What shutter speed would you suggest to not get image blur and to keep a sharp image? How else can you stay flicker free? Okay, so multiple questions there. Indoor fluorescent lights. At variable frame rate, good Lord, I think you'd have to test. You just have to test playback and see what works. Remember that you do have the ability to, if you're setting your shutter, well, I guess you can do it when you're doing shutter speed or shutter angle, but you can go into the synchro scan mode and you can tweak the shutter speed very slightly to get it to synchronize with your lights or with the TV screen or whatever you're pointing it at. I think shooting in VFR just complicates it even more, probably unless you're exactly doubling it, I would think, but I haven't tried that. But honestly, it would just take experimenting. There's no easy answer to that. Shooting under fluorescent is always just a nasty nightmare of an idea, so sorry, you'd have to try it. What shutter speed would you suggest to not get image blur and to keep a sharp image? Well, that just depends on what's happening in the scene. I mean, that's completely dependent on what's happening in the scene, whether your subject is moving very quickly or not. And remember, a little blur in the frame can be to your advantage because it makes it look smoother unless you're trying to extract frames out of it, which if that's your goal, you probably should be shooting in 6K or 4K photo mode. Just saying. But there's no like fixed shutter speed. Remember, the conventional wisdom is you want your shutter angle to be half the frame. So 180 degree shutter is always going to be half the frame rate. So double the frame rate, sorry. Double the frame rate, half if you're doing shutters. We'll have a discussion on shutter angles another time. It's way too confusing to try and get into in like a 3-minute conversation. But no easy answer is the easy answer. How else can you stay flicker free? Don't shoot under fluorescent lights. Yeah, get some good LEDs. Martin says, I'm sure the 8 to 18 is the secret Florida thing you mentioned. Well, guys, let's pin him down. You guys are funny. I'm in my secret location. No one knows where I am, except that my address is posted on the internet. Can you make a tutorial? This is Bernardo saying, can you make a tutorial of the best still settings, color profiles? Yes, that is on my list to talk about. There's no best, of course, it's preference. It's all preference. But yes, I will go through my camera settings. I want to finish getting my camera set up the way that I need it, which takes time because it's like a very personal thing. Also, if possible, do it G85 compatible for lower level human beings. Oh, stop it. G85 is a fantastic camera. That's a little harder because every camera has different buttons. So that's a little tougher to do. But a lot of the settings, you would just set them to different buttons. But we'll get into a whole still setting thing at some point, I promise. Bart, last one, then I gotta get back to this. Are you seeing any reduction in video quality when going to 180 FPS? It is still 1080, but I've heard it can be a bit soft and not as crisp. Okay, so I've heard this as well. The only true tests that I did were out in the snow, which I got crap for because, oh, look, you shot it in the brightest light situation possible. Well, okay, number one, I'm not an idiot. Number two, that wasn't intentional. That was just what was available, right? And actually, the skateboarding stuff was overcast, wasn't super bright light, but it was obviously, you know, daylight. I mean, look, when you're shooting at 180 FPS, you need a lot of light. You just do, right? You need more light so that you can have a fast enough shutter speed to get those 180 frames per second in there. So yes, you do need that. Now, I know what you're talking about. I have seen some videos off of old GH4 stuff, and I don't know if this is still applicable to GH5. And this is, honest to God, this is not the kind of thing that I want to get into. But there are people who've done, you know, side by side, zooming into 800%. Look at the line here; it's a little jagged. Here it's smooth. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I didn't design the camera. I just shoot with it, and I can tell you that the footage looks great. I've linked here to my 1080p, 180 frame per second sample footage. You see both skateboarding and snowboarding stuff. It looks freaking great. I'm not pushing into 800% in the shot because it's not how I edit. I mean, you know, if I'm gonna I might push in a little bit, but come on. No one pushes in that far. It's like you want the test to fail when you're doing that. Fine, it's good to know that yes, there might be a difference, but let's be real world about it. Real world situation, shoot in bright light for shooting 180 FPS, and it's gonna look great. That's all you need to know. Okay, let me do this 1080p. So let's go back to this, and I set to 1080p. I'm gonna go all the way down to 24 so that I get the slowest rate possible. So give the camera a second to reset itself here. There we go. And then let's see, let's go into here to variable frame rate and set it to 180 FPS. So our slowest, you can see the slow fast effect is set to 13%. So we set that, and I'm gonna do this is still, let's underexpose this a little bit more. There we go. Take this. That's a horrible white balance. Oh well, whatever. Let's make sure that's focused. Focusing is a good idea. And there we go. And let's do it. Okay. And shooting, dropping, stopping. Okay, so we're gonna have several seconds of nothing before we see the ball bouncing because there was time before I dropped it. But come on, here we go. Hit the play button and give it a moment. Play on the output. Hello, there it goes. It's playing. And 3, 2, 1, check that out. Boom. 180 FPS. It's so cool. Now, obviously this is not like the ideal situation here. I should have a lot more light to do this. So no, this isn't perfect, but you see what it does. It's kind of cool, isn't it? I brought a lighter so I could do like a flame thing, but even at 180 FPS, it was still like that. It wasn't quite slow enough. You need the, what is it, the Phantom Flex or something that does some 1,000 frames per second. But I'm gonna do this anyway. I'm just gonna do it on here because it's kind of fun. So I'm gonna set this up. Let's go ahead and switch over again. And let's get this nice and actually let me zoom in. There we go, zoom in and manual focus on this. It's gonna be hard to keep this thing steady. Oops, wrong way. Come here. Focus, focus, focus. Remember, in VFR modes, you have manual focus only. Come on. Very finite. Where is it? There it is. Okay. So there's the position. And are we ready? Let's record. Okay. Stop that. Let's see what that looks like. I know it's a little silly, but I wanted to do it. I thought of it last night and I thought there's a good idea. And then it turned out not to be as good of an idea as I'd hoped, hence the bouncy ball. But it's still cool. Where are we? Playing back? Okay, we got playback. Let's go. Oops. Ah, turn that off. Turn off. There we go. Wrong. Oh, that's why I hit the wrong button. iOS. There we go. Okay, let's play back. So, we gotta wait for it to replay. And here we go. Okay, it's gonna be several seconds before it starts because I was trying to get the thing centered. Someone's saying, showing what you have in your camera bag would be neat. That's faked cube. Dirty little secret, I have many, many camera bags. My gear lives in drawers in the studio, and I pack what I need when I go. I don't have an always packed camera bag, sorry to say. Okay, anytime now, Flame, seriously. This is the problem when you show. There it goes. Oh, that was kind of cool. I didn't keep it in focus because I moved the stupid thing, but there you go. That's kind of cool. It's actually better than the first test that I did, so fun. All right, so there's how you do it. So you got to go into creative movie mode. You got to go into .mov or MP4 with LPCM, and you've got to then, at that point now, you can choose a movie mode that has VFR available, and then you have to, of course, set the VFR on and choose the frame rate that you want. Remember, you lose autofocus and you lose audio recording when you're in VFR mode. Very, very important. Okay. Let's see here. Burns, Texas, it says it makes the GH4 OIS lens only look non-existent. I'm not quite sure what you mean. I don't know what you mean. Okay. Can I shoot in 180 FPS and then slow it down in post? Jeremy's asking. So, it's going to be conformed to whatever frame rate you've chosen. You can't get a file off the camera that is 180 frames per second. You get a camera off that is either 24, 30, or 60, depending on, or 25 if you're set it to PAL mode, or true 24 if you're in cinema mode. So that's the file that's going to come off the camera. But remember, it's just frames, right? You can rearrange them however you want once you drop it on your timeline. So just don't forget that. You can retime it, change ramp it, speed ramp it, however you want. But of course, if you take a, I don't know, if you got a 30 frame per second timeline and you shot it 60 frames, so you've got now double, but then you want to make it quadruple, you can of course do that, but then the software is going to be adding frames in there. It's going to be interpolating, which depending on the software you're using can be fine. You can get away with a lot. So you could shoot 180 FPS for a 30 frame per second timeline and then stretch it out to 360 and double it and probably still look very, very good, especially if you use advanced software that's really designed for that. I think After Effects has a module for that. Whoever it was earlier was talking about using After Effects. Remind me, I think After Effects has a really good slow motion mode, better than what's built into Premiere or built into Final Cut. I could be wrong, but I think so. All right, John Morby says, did all that and it wouldn't work, factory reset, and then no issues. So there was a setting somewhere which conflicts. Interesting. Okay, so, all right, well then for those of you who've gotten brand shiny new GH5 and are not able to get into Slo-mo, do a factory reset. Let me show you how to do the reset. Let's do that. Let's turn this back on. Go into here, and if you go down to the gear menu, and I think it's in the gear menu. There it goes, reset. So this is on page 404. You go reset, and there's several resets that you can do. So a full reset would be reset the record settings, yes, and then it's going to pop up and say reset network settings, sure, although that wouldn't have anything to do with VFR, but you know, why not? And then reset face recognition and profile and custom settings. That's a good one to do because it's custom stuff. And then reset setup / custom settings except face recognition. No, whatever. Just it's like 20 reset options. Okay, so there you go. So now if I go back into the menu, you'll see that MP4 is back, and therefore these VFR modes are not available. So super important to do. So if you do have to do a reset, if you cannot get your camera in there, do a reset and do it. One of our viewers is saying that that is what it took. Interesting and a shame, honestly. Okay, Burns Tech is saying, you keep forgetting the app part, GH4 lens optical image stabilization compared to GH5 with both in-body and lens OIS. Oh, you're saying that it makes the GH4 seem like it didn't even have it. Yeah, the stabilization on this camera combined with stabilization on the lens, it's remarkably good. Okay, very good. All right, Jorge says, is there a way to put the, oh, I already read that. No, there isn't. Is there a way to put 180 VFR when shooting 4K? No. You can't do 180 frame in 4K. You can only do 60 in 4K. If you want to do 180, you got to go to 1080p. Second part of your question, though, I think is what you really are asking, like shortcut button. You can set the VFR option into any one of the custom function buttons, right? So if this is something you did all the time, for example, let's go back to this. If I go, okay, I'm going to do this first. Let's, where's this one. Okay, remember I showed you the little trick that if you want to reprogram a button, let's just say that I wanted to make this one down here, FN4, to be my, my variable frame rate button. See, can I get this so that you can see both? Okay, I'm going to push and hold on this button for a couple seconds, and then it pops up with the ability to reprogram that. So now that that's reprogram mode, let's go back to that screen, and now I can choose whatever I want. And now there's no, it's just a flat system. There's no nested menu, so it can take you a while to find it. But somewhere in here is, there you go, variable frame rate. So I turn that on, select that. Now whenever I push that function 4 button, it'll pull it up. But right now I'm pushing it, nothing's happening because, of course, I don't have a VFR mode available. So let's go back to MP4, set that to MOV, and then go here, and let's choose, it's already on a VFR capable mode. So now I put FN4. Wait, that didn't work. What did I do wrong? VFR is available. Oh, I think you still have to, oh, maybe this is what you're asking me. Do I still have to do this? Interesting. So the VFR settings are there, but that doesn't toggle it on and off. Oh. Huh. Okay, I wonder if there's a better VFR on-off thing to choose from. Maybe not. That's the only one there. Interesting. So you do have to go in and turn it on first. Well, that's annoying. Okay, I'll look into that because that's a valid weirdness. You want to be able to turn it on a bit more easily. Okay, I'll look into that one. So you can create a set a function button to change the VFR, but it doesn't look like one of them will turn it on or off, which is a separate command under the same menu. That's really weird. Okay, I'll look into that for you guys because that is kind of odd. Burnstick, here's a quick question. Which Lumix lenses are weather sealed and how to tell? Yeah, that's a good question. There's no indicator on the lens itself that it's a weather sealed lens. I don't think. I don't think the Elmarit means that. Google. You know, obviously if you Google it, you'll find the information, but I don't. So this is a Vario Elmarit lens. I don't know what the Elmarit means. I don't think that is talking about the elements. That would be just like too much of a play on German words, but I don't think that's it. So I don't know the answer to that question. As far as which ones are, this one is. The 12 to 35 and 35 to 100 are. I think all the Leica ones are. I think all the Leica ones are. Ooh, tough question though. That's something you gotta look up. Okay, do me a favor, Burns, put that in a comment afterwards. You know the drill, and then I see it and I can address it. Also, to whoever had asked the question about the function button for the VFR mode, please add that as a comment later as well. Not in the chat, but as a comment so that I can see it and bookmark it so I can come back to it and make sure I don't forget that. Okay, Jorge is also asking, so for what I understand, I can't switch from 4K to full HD and then change the VFR because I shoot sports and sometimes I want to change quickly to slow-mo. You can set, okay, so this is another like total configuration of the camera setting. You've got your quick menu settings. You have your built-in quick menu settings, but then you can create your own totally custom quick menu settings. And when you do that, you can put whatever you want in there. That might be a better way to quickly switch between. I don't think there's a way to one button push to go this 4K preset, that 1080p preset. I think you only can bring up the menu and then choose between them. So I'm like 99% sure of that. So it's going to be a couple of clicks. There's no like boom, boom, 4K, 1080p. Except if you use the custom modes. So remember, you've got these guys here. Come here. Close enough. You've got these custom modes, right? C1, C2, C3, and then within C3 you have C31, C32, C3, C33. Those save basically everything in the camera that is not a physical hard dial. So that means that you could set C1 to 4K at, you know, whatever, 30p. And you can set C2 to 1080p at 180 frames per second. And then all you have to do is switch that command dial. So that's probably what you want to do. That's going to be your quickest way to switch back and forth. Doug Wilson says, already own the GH4 and a solid collection of native glass. Awesome. I have the GH5 on pre-order. Awesome. In your opinion, is the GH4 still viable as a B-roll camera? Oh, hell yeah. Or should I spring for a second GH5? Oh, absolutely. Come on. I've got two GH4s. I'm not giving either of those guys up. They're fantastic still, please. I would, the differences are like the better stabilization makes this a really good A camera. Obviously, the different frame rates if you're shooting slow motion, you can't do that on the GH4, but you got it on this one. Especially if you're shooting vlog or one of the native profiles, you're going to look very, very close out of camera color-wise. In one of the interviews with Sean, he talked about a improved color profiling, less of a removing a green cast, I think, if I remember. I could be wrong. But it's one of the lengthy interviews with Sean. I have no idea which video it was. There's 5 of them. It's like 3 hours of conversation. But if you look through those, we'll link to the playlist that shows all of those conversations with Sean. Scan through the description, and you'll see a list of all the questions and things that were addressed. You might find it there. It might have also been one of the things that he just talked about, so you might have to watch a lot of video to find it. But anyway, point is, there will be a slight image color difference from this camera to the GH4, but you can absolutely put them side by side, do a little calibration, do a little white balance shifting, find something that's really close, and then of course you have calibration in post, right? You can always come up with a color correction preset in Final Cut or Premiere, whatever you're using, to make your GH4 match your GH5 footage. So that's that. So absolutely great B camera. Now, if you want to buy a Moody GH5, I'm not going to stop you. Make sure you use the link below. But I'm not getting rid of my GH4s. They're fantastic. So no, do not get rid of them. Okay. Joel says, what is the exposure mode about? I don't know what you mean. What exposure mode? Clarify, please. Let's see here. You get Sully says you can use your C cam and as a crash cam and crash cam. Don't crash your C camera. All right. Let's see here. I think we're good. Oh, Trevor, one more. Could you warn inexperienced people about the tiny recessed display button on the camera right under your thumb? I literally just spent a day figuring out why my display kept changing. Interesting that you say that, Trevor. So, okay, what he's talking about is this button here. God, I always do that. This button here, it is quite recessed. It's actually a little bit hard to push. And it's funny that you say that you've been hitting it accidentally, because I've seen people complaining that it's too hard to push. You can't win them all. You can't. So that button there, if your on-screen display cycles, changes, you're going, wait, I thought I had data there. That's it. You push that button and it cycles through the display, right? So if let's do it like this. Let's do this again. That's good enough. Okay. Where's the display? Oh, you can't see the display button. All right, come here. Pick that camera up a little bit. Nope. Come on. I'm trying to get the whole thing in the shot here, which is kind of impossible. There we go. Okay. As I push this button, if I can find it, there you go. Looking at the LCD here, you can see the on-screen display cycles through different presets. See, it's even hard for me to push like this. There we go. So you got that mode off. That's the majority of the data, less data, or almost, that's the one that I usually shooting, because then I get my level and all kinds of other stuff. So there's a variety of cycle modes in there. Same thing happens during playback. If I hit play on the camera, there we go, it's the playback button. When you're in play mode, oh, it's here. It's TV, it's outputting to the HDMI. Come on, get out of there. See, that thing's hard to get out. Now that I'm in this mode, let's go back to my display button. Again, you have different playback modes in there as well. So you're going to see those, and that's all controlled by the display button. So Trevor, thanks for having me call that out. I think that's obviously good for people to know. Okay, people complaining about noise. There's a lot of people banging around outside. Yeah, apparently UPS just, what did I get? Anything good? Burnstack says, agree with me, PhotoJoseph GH4 is more than perfect complement to the GH5. Yeah, it's a beautiful camera. Now, if you were shopping, okay, I get, what camera should I buy? Question all the time. Obviously, this one. If you got budget and you're shopping for multiple cameras, and you are not going to buy 2 GH5s because that's too much or not what you need, I'll tell you my personal, if I had to just have 2 cameras, give up everything else, it'd be this and the GX85, the little tiny camera that doesn't have the anti-aliasing filter. I adore that camera. I love, love, love the GX85. No, it's not weather sealed like the G85 is, so that's one downfall, but it's tiny. It's a teeny tiny little camera, produces amazing image quality. I just love it. I absolutely love it. And the video, you guys are gonna get to see pretty soon. We did a video off the Oaxaca trip. It's actually done. I just need to release it publicly because it's, oh no, that's right, I have to make one correction. I'll try and get that done today. That was largely shot on the GX85, some on the GX8, some on a GH4, but it's phenomenal. You look at the colors and you're like, Jesus, I wish I was there. The color's so good. Love the GX85. Okay. Okay, but Ryan, bring it here. It's, Ryan just told me what came. It's something addressed to one of the other luminaries, which is a mistake. Thank you. Which means it's from Panasonic, which means it's probably the other parts for my GH5. Should I do a whole other unboxing video? What time is it? It's 10 after 10. I think, okay, so this is what I got. Got my XLR1. Got my battery grip. Haha. Okay, I'm not opening these today. Nope, not Monday show. Monday's Q&A. Tuesday, we'll do an unboxing of these guys. Can I wait that long to open these? I can. I don't need them over the weekend. Look at that. That's cool. That's cool. God, come on. XLR1. Focus. Come on. There we go. It's just a GH4. It's a little bit slower. XLR1 and DMW BG-GH5, the battery grip. Woohoo! Haha, sweet. Everyone's saying, unbox it, unbox it, unbox it. Not today. I'm gonna make you wait. Because I'm mean like that. Okay. Okay, people are getting on my case now about it. Alrighty. Let's see here. Another unboxing live. It'll happen. Not today. Let's see what else we got here. Martin's saying, you're a kid, you have to open. Find the kid at heart. Oh, believe me, I'm a kid. But I get too much to do. My biggest problem is I have so much work to do, and I'm like, oh, this is more fun. I gotta do the other work. I got other stuff to deliver. Okay, that's it. I'm out of here. Yeah, hey, don't forget this. Let's see, hopefully I got this thing set up right. There we go. New podcast, the Photo Apps Podcast. This is formerly the TWIP Apps Podcast. The podcast is no longer on the TWIP network. It's come home to photoapps.expert. It is the Photo Apps Podcast. Episode 1 is out. It is about Lightroom Mobile. This podcast is on the iTunes Store. It is also around iTunes, whatever. It is also on the Google Play. Please do subscribe. You can also watch it on YouTube. It's on there right now. If you go to photoapps.expert, you'll see it on the front page. Just scroll down a little bit, you'll find it. Or, again, iTunes, Google Play, you'll find the podcast. Just search, I need to tweak the keywording, but search Photo Apps as one word and then podcast, and you'll find it. I need to tweak the keywording so it's easier to find, but that will bring it up for sure. Okay, I'm out of here, guys. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you very much for coming in today. What do we have? We had good viewership today. That was awesome. Monday, of course, is a Answer Your Tough Questions podcast. Not podcast, whatever you call this thing. Live show. That's where I answer the questions that are too long for me to type up while on my phone. All right. Take care of you guys. See you. Take care of you guys. Take care, you guys, of yourself. I'm tired. I've been sick half the week. That's my excuse. I'm going to bed. No, not really. Have a good weekend, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.